Chapter 23 Invisible Man English Notes. In Drury Lane. Now he realized the disadvantage of being an invisible man. He had no covering and avoided eating because that will make him visible in an awkward manner because of unassimilated matter. He could not go out in snow as it would settle on him and expose him. Then he saw a miscellaneous shop with an array of masks and noses. Now he came upon an idea and was trying to search a shop for fancy costumes. It was very cold. It was very cold, and he wanted to find a shop soon, else he sneezes. His sneezes will draw attention of many. At last he reached a dirty little shop in Drury Lane. The shop was old-fashioned and dark. There was 4 stories house above it, and he saw a costume in a glass frame. Soon a man came, and seeing none of the boys in the shop, he became angry. He went to stare down the street, came back and kicked the door. As Griffin followed him, he stopped dead by the noise of his movement. He slammed the house door in his face. Invisible Man slipped into the inner room, which had masks and that man's breakfast. He waited for him to finish the breakfast, as all the other doors were shut. When the man left, he followed him to kitchen and then came back to sit in his chair by the fire. To increase the fire, he added coal, and this made the man upstairs at once. He checked if there was someone and then opened the door upstairs. An invisible man carefully followed him but could not enter the room. Invisible Man explored the home and found it to be very old, paper peeling from walls and rat infested. In the next to his, Invisible Man found a lot of old clothes. His eagerness to find one for him, he forgot of the man, and soon the man came with a revolver. Invisible Man was alert. While the man looked at the heap of clothes, the man muttered, "It must have been her." Immediately, the man shut the door quietly and locked it. Invisible Man was frightened. Invisible Man was frightened, but he decided to inspect for clothes first, and it brought down a pile from the upper shelf. As the man came inside, being more careful, and he actually touched him and jumped back in amazement. Invisible Man tried to escape, but a plank creaked and the man started locking all the doors, and so Invisible Man knocked him on the head. Kemp exclaimed. Invisible Man hit him behind a stool, and hence the man went downstairs rolling. Kemp called this inhumane, while Invisible Man explained that he had to get out of place, and then he tied him up in a sheet. If he would not have done that, the man would have shot him, and the man rather would be describing Invisible Man's story. Kemp called it a robbing, and Invisible Man explained that he had no choice. Invisible Man asked if he was calling him a thief. Soon Kemp changed his tone and said, being calm, that he never blames anyone. As he was hungry, he found loaf, cheese, brandy and water downstairs. He clothed himself and chose a mask, glasses, whiskers and a wig. He took the money in the cupboard. He was happy that he was again a visible, normal figure, and people around him didn't pay attention to him. Kemp was frightened and looked out of the window. Then he said him to continue the story. Invisible Man wanted to have a good meal in hotel and he ordered it, but he realized that he cannot have it without exposing his invisible face, so he left the place. Then, to fulfill the desire to have tasteful food, he demanded for a private room. Then he could have lunch, but outside. A snowstorm was beginning. Now he realized the many disadvantages of invisibility, while before his mad experiment he could only think of advantages. He thought of him as a comic representation of man. Kemp glanced at the window, and to keep him busy, he asked about how Invisible Man got to Iping. He told that he went there to work upon a way to restore visibility, and that's what he wants to talk to Kemp for. Now he wants his books, checkbook, and luggage back. He explained his anger for those silly people of Iping who disturbed him a lot, that he can now even kill them. And that's everything for this chapter.